All right, so I want to talk today about the upcoming course on Introduction to Blockchain. Basically the theme is, whereas blockchain mainly is thought of in terms of cryptocurrency, there's a lot more to it than that. Some of what's a lot more is financial service applications, but there's also others. Wait a minute. Oh, there we go. Sorry. Okay. So if you look at the current right now, basically the investment in blockchain is exploding. A lot of the Wall Street professionals are leaving, solid jobs, and also from Facebook Meta, a lot of people are leaving, and other companies like Google to go to blockchain startups. The reason is because the VCs are pouring money into Web3 and crypto startups. So Web3 is the general term for using the blockchain to do things like social networking and other kinds of IT functions like that currently are done by a centralized server kind of setup like Facebook. And so that money is funding a lot of startups and a lot of people. Silicon Valley being what it is, a lot of people want to get involved. And as a reaction to this, companies like Google are starting to form blockchain business units. So basically, they don't want the talent leaving. And they also, I mean, there's a lot of opportunities in their business for using blockchain. They haven't really explored them. That's been one big kind of hole in the whole blockchain story, is that big companies, with the exception of a very few specific applications, haven't been too active in really looking at what, prototyping and looking at would be needed. But now it seems like they're starting to get on board and doing it. Even Walmart is getting into the act. I saw to my surprise that Walmart and Nike are starting to use NFTs to basically do sort of virtual goods around their products. So this is something that is brand new. I mean, it wasn't the case that consumer products did this. And in fact, once that starts to happen, then that the technology is starting to become more mainstream. The mainstream adopters are starting to come on and starting to use it. And right now, sort of Silicon Valley is trying to figure out what it is, but I think what they've decided is that it's the next big thing. So it's kind of like social networking was back in the early late 2000s and early 2010s, and it's like mobile was in the mid 2010s, and now most of the technologists and VCs have decided that blockchain and web and crypto, and then the other one, of course, is AI, but that's a more long-term thing, and it's kind of a different kind of a technology. It's not so focused on very specific things. So applications. So the question you might be asked is, okay, so everybody is out there is kind of looking at this in Silicon Valley, and sort of where do I fit in this? If you're interested in this, but you're having trouble putting everything together, then I think this, if you're thinking of interviewing with an established Web3 crypto company, like Coinbase or any other company like that, because you see a job there you'd like to do. If you're thinking of doing a startup, like a Web3 startup, if you work at a large company and you see where business processes need improvement and to reduce overhead and improve transparency, these are two characteristics which blockchain is really good at bringing to distributed business processes, then this course is for you, and I think you should take it. So you might ask yourself, okay, so what skills do I need for a job in Web3? Well, if you're a developer, you really need to understand blockchain technology, not just be able to kind of hit a command line with a bunch of commands. And you also need basic programming skills like you need for any development job. Blockchain uses a different language. It's called Solidity. That's the main language that's used, especially for fintech applications. But if you want to get in, there's other blockchain systems that use different languages. So we'll talk a little bit about that in class. If you're a product manager, then what you really need to know about is what can a blockchain technology do well and what doesn't it do well. And there are actually some cases where you shouldn't use blockchain technology, much as I'm enthusiastic about using it. And you also know how to apply those to customer needs. And most product managers will understand how to do that last step. The part that they need to understand is, understand what blockchain technology can do, and what the products need to have in them to really solve the customer's problems. For directors, I mean, it's basically if you want to go into management, or you currently are in management, and you're thinking about making the jump, you'll need the same kind of people and organizational skills that you need in any high tech job. That said, I found that the best managers are the ones that understand the technology. And we're not going to go into deep into programming or anything like that. We will discuss a bit on algorithms and such, but I think if you're a director, you could get a really good, solid, basic understanding of the technology from this course. And finally, if you're a startup founder, you have to have a great idea that appeals to a lot of customers and your determination to see it through. And I think there's a lot of startups that are going to happen in the next 5 years in Web3 and blockchain. So if you want to know how to get started in crypto, Web3, or blockchain, these are all sort of equivalent names for the same thing, although crypto more applies to fintech and cryptocurrency applications. Blockchain is more the basic technology, and Web3 is the application of how you actually deploy it. The first thing you should do is update your LinkedIn profile and mention crypto, Web3, and blockchain. You also might want to set up an account on AngelList and list crypto, Web3, and blockchains as tags that you're interested in. If you want to work at a startup, definitely AngelList. If you're more interested in a big company, then LinkedIn would be a good place. There's a meetup group called Blockchain Applications and Smart Contracts. It meets once a month, and it's sort of intermediate technical, so it doesn't get into the deep dive into it, but it talks a lot about different applications. The recent one was about decentralized file storage, which is a way to store files where you don't have to store everything in the blockchain. You store the file somewhere else, and then you put a hash on the blockchain to indicate that the file is there. There's a blockchain expo in Santa Clara, May 11th to 12th. That's another place you could go. There's one actually was in Denver in February. I think it's over now, but it had a virtual component. I don't know if Blockchain Expo does. I think probably they don't, because people are moving away from virtual. And lastly, I get together with your friends and coworkers and brainstorm ideas. I mean, a lot of times I found that the best way to come up with a cool idea is to actually talk to people about it. And once you've got done that, then you can take it. If you work at a big company and you see some need for some way to simplify the process, or to make it more transparent, you can go to your managers and say, okay, or maybe you are a manager, you can talk to your VPs and ask, okay, well, I had this idea, and can we do a prototype on it? And then maybe get a prototype. If you're thinking of doing a startup, then that's a good way to get your co-founders and initial people to work on it. Okay, so the last thing you might be asking yourself is, well, why should I take this course? Well, the thing is, most blockchain courses focus on a specific platform, like Ethereum, Hyperledger, or Bitcoin, or something like that. And they often have a lot of programming labs, but they fail to present the overall context. Or if they present it in just like one paragraph at the very beginning or something like that. And so what we're trying to do with this course is to present you with the context and then drill down with specific examples so you can see how that context influences the actual technology. There's others that specialize in one particular application area, like fintech or supply chain management. So, but they miss the sort of commonalities between the different areas and how the blockchain actually unifies and underlies those application areas. So the idea for this course is we don't have any labs, so it's not like there's not going to be any hands-on, but at the very end, you'll be asked to form teams of 3 and do a final paper. So the paper is a 6-page research paper. You'll have 2 weeks to do it. The idea, actually, you can write it during the whole class. I'll talk about it at the very beginning. And the idea is to encourage investigation and critical thinking and engagement with the technology at a fundamental level, rather than just sitting there and typing commands to a CLI. In addition, we're going to have 2 online multiple choice exams for midterm and a final. This is for people, of course, who are taking it for a grade, or for pass fail, or if you're just auditing it, it's not a, there's no problem. You're not required to do either of these. So that's basically the requirements in terms of assignments. Now, if you take this course and you say, okay, so let's suppose I take the course, where should I follow up? Well, at the moment, UCSC and UCSC, Silicon Valley Extension, they don't have any follow-up courses on blockchain. So they're working on a short webinar on blockchain, and there's been some discussions about doing more, but for right now, that's the case. If you like a hands-on course, you should be prepared to, if you want to do a course, you could either dive into a lab-heavy hands-on course or a course about a specific application area that you want to work in. And the Linux Foundation I've taken a couple of these hands-on courses in Hyperledger projects. They're really good, but they don't, like I said, they don't give you the context, so it's a whole little bit hard to get ideas about how you might apply it. Coursera and edX have more hands-on courses, and they actually have courses that are very specifically focused on application areas, so that's another place you can go after this one's finished. Okay, so the course begins on March 10th, and these are some links here, and we can open it now for questions if anybody wants to ask any. Thank you for coming, and I hope you sign up.